Feliz viernes, Rory otra vez, y aquí estamos a continuación de los verbos en el pretérito, okay? So, en el otro video nosotros hablamos, we talked about regular preterite past tense endings. So, throughout several tenses in Spanish, we have to be careful with what we call car, zar verbs. And car, zar verbs show up in, well, they're verbs that end in car, gar, or zar, like buscar, pagar, or empezar. There's several verbos. These are some examples. But you have to be careful with these verbos because endings get a little tricky in a handful of different tenses. For example, command tense. We change the endings of verbs in the usted commands change here, and in the preterito también. Solamente en la forma yo. Solamente en la forma yo. Let me show you what happens here. So we've got buscar, and it's an AR verb, so we know that we're going to end in a, haste, o, amos, and aron. Right? Okay, here's what happens. First of all, this is a problem. Busce. It actually changes sound. It doesn't sound like buscar anymore. So something we have to do to that form of buscar. It's a car verb, the yo form, we have to change it to conserve sound, the proper sound of the verbo. Bien, but here, buscaste, no problem. Buscó, no problem. Buscamos, no problem. Buscaron, no problem. It sounds like buscar still. But here, busce doesn't sound like buscar anymore, and so we have to do something in the spelling of the word to make it sound like buscar still. And so the solution is that car verbs go to que. Bien. And so no longer is it busce, we have to change the spelling to busque. Busque. Now it sounds like buscar. If you never wrote anything, you would never have to pay attention to this because you would just think buscar, busque, right? But in order to say busque right like busque, you have to put the QE. QUE. Bien, perfecto. Now the same thing is going to happen with pagar. We've got pagamos, no problem. Pagaron, no problem. Él pagó, no problem. Tú pagaste, no problem. But when we get to the forma yo, if we didn't make a spelling change, it would be like that. And we know that GE has a H sound, not a G sound. So it would be pahe. And that doesn't sound like pagar. And so we have to make a spelling change to make it G-U-E, page. And so car goes to que, gar goes to gay. Gar goes to gay. Muy bien. And now we move on to verbos zar. Zar, what's going to happen here? We've got empezaste, no problem. Empezó, no problem. Empezamos, no problem. Empezaron, no problem. But here, now, in all honesty, this is not a sound problem. It's not a spelling change because of sound, because ZE sounds just like CE. It would be empecé, either way. So I'm not actually 100% sure why this one changes. Someone smarter than me knows. But zar goes to se. So that's it. That's car, gar, zar verbs. You'll see this pattern show up in other tenses. But for now, in the preterite, this is how the pattern shows. This is how the pattern changes. So, buscar, only la forma yo, no las otras formas, porque estas otras formas no hay problema. Busqué, pagué y empecé. Solamente la forma yo cambia. All right. Well, speaking of empezar, you probably recognize that in the present tense, empezar is a stem changer. Because it's not yo empezo, it's yo empiezo, right? Well, the preterite has fewer stem changers. And the good news is that it's only verbos IR that have a stem change. Only IR verbs have a stem change. There's no AR stem changing verbs, no ER stem changing verbs, only IR stem changing verbs in this preterito. Let's take a look at a handful of examples. There's no real trick or shortcut to know which ones are going to stem change. And actually it's slightly more problematic because the stem changes are not all the same as they were in the present tense. Let me show you what happens. Okay, we're going to erase cargar zar, and we'll give ourselves a couple of verb charts here to look at a few different verbos. Okay, bien. Let's start with dos. First of all, stem changing verbos, solamente verbos IR. Only verbos IR will ever have a stem change in the preterite. No ARs, no ERs, only IR verbos. Let's look at a couple of examples. Dormir, for example. Dormir. Dormir. In the present tense, yo duermo, tú duermes, él, ella, usted duerme, nosotros dormimos, ellos duermen. We have a stem change in every form of the verb except for nosotros. Here's how it looks in the present tense. Dormir in the present tense. Duermo, duermes, duerme, dormimos, duermen. Bien, so we've got a stem change here, 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 and here. Some people call these boot verbs because you've got a little boot aquí, ¿verdad? Well, that's in the present tense. In the preterito, in the preterite, it's not a boot verb anymore. It's more of a sandal verb. I know, it's kind of goofy. But we've got dormir, dormi, dormiste, durmió, dormimos, and durmieron. Okay, so here it was a boot verb. Now it's just flip-flop verbo, a sandal verb. Huaraches, sandalias. Okay, so durmió, durmieron. Notice, en el presente, dormir is O to UE. En el preterito, dormir is O to U, and only in él, ella, usted, and ellos, ellas, ustedes. All right, so there's no real trick, and I'm sorry. You just have to commit this to memory because there's no real way to know that it's going to be a truncated stem change based on the present tense. There's no trick. But there's other verbs that work like that too, and then there's verbs that are the exact same as in the present tense stem change. So like pedir, for example. Pedir is the verb to ask for. Vamos a cambiar nuestro verbo. So here we have present tense and here we have past tense, preterite, pedir. Pedir is the verb to ask for. Tenemos. Pedir in both tenses is E to I. Stem change. So this E is going to change to E. So in the present tense, it's yo pido, tú pides, él, ella, usted pide, nosotros pedimos, because it's a boot verb, right? And ellos pidieron. Bien, so here's our boot. Here's our boot. Pido, pides, pide, pidieron. But now, in el pretérito, it's a sandal verb, ¿verdad? So we have pedí, pediste, pidió, pedimos, and pidieron. Pidieron. Aquí tenemos la sandalia, ¿verdad? Okay, there's a handful of other verbos in el pretérito. Let me write a quick list for you, and I'll also post them in this post here. Bien, vamos a ver. Tenemos dormir is O to U. Elegir. Elegir is the verb to choose or to select. E to I. Y tenemos morir. O to U, which in the present tense is O to UE, just like dormir is O to UE. But elegir is E to I in both tenses, okay? Y tenemos pedir, seguir. E to I, seguir. E to I. And otro, sentirse. Sentirse es E to I también. ¿Verdad? Okay, here's a quick little lista. There are more, but these are the most common ones. All right, that's it for now. In a few minutes, I'm going to collect my thoughts and come back live with irregular preterite tense verbs. So far, these things aren't really irregulars. Kargar zar isn't irregular because it's very patterned, the ending. And these stem changes aren't necessarily irregular. Language nerds don't call those irregular because they follow patterns. But now we do have a handful of irregular verbs. But hang on, I've got a fun song for you. Well, dorky, but fun. See you soon.